Time is 2:29 p.m. We're back on the record.
Okay. What is that?
I don't know, but I don't like it.
No, I don't either.
It makes me feel uncomfortable whenever I hear it.
Yeah.
Got a duck and cover here.
Right.
Okay, I gave you 68.
Yes.
Do you know Carmen Linus?
Yes.
How do you know Carmen Linus?
She was down not too long ago on other Bell. I'm trying to think. Products.
The ice pail.
Yes. I met her then.
Was that since September?
Yes, and she may have been down one other time, but I don't recall.
Was there a requirement that the principals or their attorneys come to
No.
Houston?
No.
And why would Carmen Linus come here? Just to do everything in person, or?
It was my understanding that she was familiar with immigration.
Did she come along with anybody else since the depot? The meeting since the depot?
I'm not sure if Danny was there. I don't know the McDaniels is McGuire's that well to be able to pinpoint exactly which one was there, and I didn't take roll, but I think the McGuire brothers were also there. I'm not sure that all four of them were there. I don't recall.
Okay, and this meeting, do you remember what month it was?
No.
But it was since our deposition here together.
Yes.
Was it just one meeting or more than one meeting?
Just one meeting.
Was the case discussed? This case?
No. Strictly the other program.
Have you discussed the case with Carmen Linus?
No.
Have you discussed the case with McGuire's?
No.
Have you discussed the case with Mr. Shields?
Vaguely. You know, enough to know that we were going to do the depositions again.
Did you have an understanding why we were doing the depositions a second time?
No.
When you discussed the case enough to know that we were going to be doing the depositions again, that was a face-to-face conversation with Mr. Shields?
I believe that there was an email sent out that we were going to be doing them again.
Did you also have a face-to-face discussion with him?
No.
How about with Tony Smith?
No.
Have you discussed the case at all with Tony Smith?
No.
Have you discussed the case at all with Ms. Watson?
No.
How about Ms. Hernandez?
No.
Have you spoken with Mr. Sabo in the last 6 months?
No.
Have you heard from Mr. Sabo?
No.
When was the last time that you talked to Mr. Padilla?
I believe the day he turned in his resignation. March of 2015, I think.
And then never spoke to him again?
No. I may have sent an email, but I don't recall. Couldn't tell you if it was referenced anything or not.
As far as you know, there is no regular schedule for the agent relations personnel to go to the offices where the bail agents are?
There hasn't been. They're working on getting that organized better and more of a schedule, regular schedule.
Does financial casualty and surety have bond compliance personnel?
What do you mean by bond compliance personnel?
Where they go to the site and they make sure that the bond paperwork is in order, that the powers are all
That's
there.
what we're working on right now.
Has, from your understanding, has financial casualty and surety ever made visits to the offices to inspect that the powers are where they're supposed to be?
I believe Mr. Sabo and possibly Mr. Padilla did.
Were there ever instances, from what you know, where Mr. Padilla or Mr. Sabo went out to any of the agents, not just the McGuires, and found that bond powers were missing?
I don't recall.
Why is making certain that the bonds are where they're supposed to be important to FCS?
Could you clarify where they're supposed to be?
Well, where is bond powers supposed to be? Are they supposed to be locked up in a secure location?
If they were mine, they would be, but I can't control the agent. I don't know what the agent does with them. I've never been to their office.
Have you ever been to a bail agent's office?
Many years ago.
Where did you go to the bail agent's office?
I went to Indianapolis.
Why did you go to their office in Indianapolis?
I went with another vice president of another company.
And what did you do at the bail agent's office when you went the vice president of the other company?
We visited his office.
And what was...
Saw where the files were that he kept on the defendants. Saw his office across from the court, went to the court.
Why was it important for you to see where the files that they kept on the defendants were located?
Because if the surety company needs information on a particular bond or defendant, according to Department of Insurance or any inquiry, we would need to know that they were kept in order.
Is that a requirement of the contract that the files
Yes.
be kept in order?
Yes,
With this Genevieve, what's her last name?
Stewart.
Genevieve Stewart, were you able to, was financial casualty and surety able to recover the defendant's information?
Yes.
How did they do it, from your understanding?
Well, honestly, I don't know. Mike Padilla went to New Jersey and all of their files were shipped to us.
Was this before or after the lawsuit was filed?
I think it was after.
Was Ms. Stewart cooperative before the lawsuit was filed?
Yes,
Did she attempt to tender the files?
yes.
Okay, I'm going to show you Exhibit 70. Do you recognize Exhibit 70?
I recognize that it's a forfeiture from Las Vegas.
You recognize the name up there, Nicholas Paul Spencer?
No.
If we look at the other emails, I believe that that's the,
Oh, okay.
isn't that the name on the,
Yes, it is.
it's also for $65,000. $3131 East Side Suite. Where's that?
Here in Houston.
Is that where the offices for financial casualty and surety are?
Yes,
That's where you work.
yes.
That's actually where the Myron Steves company headquarters are, right?
Correct.
That's a multi-story building.
Yes.
Is it all Myron Steves companies in that building?
No.
Or any of the other companies related to the Myron Steves company that are in that building? Besides FCS.
Not outside Myron Steves, no.
Does Myron Steves own that building?
No. Well, not that I know of. I guess I better not say no. I don't know.
Okay. That's a good enough answer.
They could own it. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to show you Exhibit 71. Okay, Exhibit 71, it's from Ken Gorman, sent on Monday, January 12th, 2015 at 11:38 a.m. PST to Caesar E. McGuire. And he copies Jennifer Velez, yourself, Kathleen Ledbetter, Andrea Boudreau, Rosalie May Diasis, Chris Ramos, Gilbert McGuire. The subject, once again, Ray: NB demand on transfer bond, $65K, left paren, bail hotline, right paren. It reads, on 11/12/14, left paren 2 months ago, right paren, I put out the email that this deaf was found in custody in Mendocino County on both of our cases. $300K is San Diego County. It's a $300K. $65K is Clark County, NV, with a San Diego case number, left paren, fugitive of justice warrant, right paren, period. I'm not sure what happened after that. Ken Gorman. Ms. Ledbetter, does this refresh your recollection about this particular transaction and your communications with Ken Gorman?
No.
I'll show you Exhibit 72. It's from Jennifer Velez, sent Monday, January 12, 2015 at 11:39 a.m. PST to Ken Gorman and Caesar McGuire, the CC to Kathleen Ledbetter, Andrea Boudreau, Rosalie May Diasis, Chris Ramos, Gilbert McGuire. Subject Ray: NB demand on transfer bond, $65K, left paren, bail hotline, right paren. States, thank you for your update, Ken. Is there any reason that you can think of that either Exhibit 71 or 72 are forgeries?
No.
I'm going to show you Exhibit 73. Exhibit 73 from Kathleen Ledbetter, sent Monday, January 12th, 2015, 12:10 p.m. PST to Jennifer Velez, Ken Gorman, Caesar E. McGuire, CC, Andrea Boudreau, Rosalie May Diasis, Chris Ramos, Gilbert McGuire. Do you want to read what you wrote to Mr. Gorman, Jennifer Velez, and Mr. Caesar E. McGuire? Can you read that into the record for us?
I believe an attorney needs to file a motion in Nevada. Let me know if you need the assistance of the posting agent. Regards.
And it's Kathleen Ledbetter, Vice President, FCS. Correct?
Correct.
So on this email, you added in to the two-line Jennifer Velez because you wanted to get her in the...
No, I didn't add anybody. I responded to Jennifer and all parties of the email. And it put her name to Jennifer because I responded to Jennifer and it added the rest of the names there. I just responded to all, but mainly to Jennifer.
Mainly to Jennifer's, her statement, "Thank you for your update, Ken."
Correct.
Is there any reason to believe that 73 is a forgery?
No.
This different text that you used, you see how it's a different font?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Does your email sometimes do that?
I think it always does that.
This particular font?
Yeah. I think I had it set up to respond with that font. Yes.
Do you have a particular computer when you're logged in? Your Outlook is configured under that font?
I go in and tell her what I want it to be.
Are you able to log into your email in the cloud as opposed to logging in from your phone or...
I've never used the cloud. No, I don't. I mean, it may save all of it in the cloud. I don't know. I don't know enough about it to know that. I just always use a computer to log into it.
Do you ever respond to emails at home?
Occasionally.
When you get emails at home, how are you notified of those emails?
Through my phone.
Are you able to respond to emails on your phone?
Yes.
When you respond to emails on your phone, does it have a different font than when you respond to emails at your desk?
I don't recall. I don't usually print them, so I don't know.
Do you have an understanding, or do you know why this didn't show up in your search? This Exhibit 73?
No, I don't know why.
Should this have shown up in your search?
I would think. May have been misfiled, I don't know.
Misfiled?
Yeah. Kind of sort your emails into different folders.
Where would you have, can you tell me how you sort the emails into the different folders?
The ones from Jennifer and Bell Hotline I would have put in their folder, but since I sent this, I don't know where I would have found it. In sent items, I don't know. I thought I searched everything. Tried to search everything?
Huh?
I said I tried to search everything.
Do you know who Chris Ramos is?
No. I
Have
don't
you-
know who Rosalie is either.
Have you ever spoken to Jennifer Velez on the phone?
I don't recall.
Would it surprise you if you were to learn that Michael Padilla spoke with my client Nicholas Chuck Wayman in San Diego in 2010?
Would it surprise me?
Yes. Would it surprise you?
I don't know why it would surprise me. I mean, why wouldn't it surprise me? I don't understand what the question is.
Okay.
I mean, I don't control who Mike Padilla speaks to, and they go to a lot of bail conventions.
Okay. Would it surprise you if Mike Padilla gave Chuck Wayman an assignment to go capture somebody in January of 2010 in San Diego?
Yeah, that would surprise me.
Why would it surprise you?
I was totally unaware that he would do that, or that he was doing it, or that we did it at all.
Were there other agents in Southern California besides the bail hotline, bail bonds people that Financial Casualty and Surety was contracting with?
Yes.
Do you remember what other agencies there are?
No. I know we have other California agents, but I couldn't name them. Michael Bench, I could name him. That's a
Michael
big one.
Bench? How do you spell his name?
Michaelbench.
What's the name of his business?
Absolute bail bonds.
Would it be unusual for Michael Padilla, if he was visiting financial DMCG? Actually, it wouldn't be DMCG at that point. It would be Daniel McGuire as the general agent. He said, "Oh, by the way, I have someone that needs to get picked up over at this other agency and taken to jail." Would that be unusual for him to be involved in that?
I don't know.
Did they ever speak about helping out their other agents by having agents borrowing fugitive recovery personnel from one agency and using them with another agency?
Occasionally, we might have someone call and say, "Do you know of anyone in this area who can help me out?" And we may put them in contact, but it would be the bail agent we would put them in contact with, not a recovery agent. I don't recall ever putting a bail agent in touch with the recovery agent. But I wasn't out in the field, I don't know recovery agents at all.
Does Michael Padilla live here in Houston?
He lives in Richmond.
And where?
Richmond.
Where's Richmond?
It's southwest of Houston.
Did he leave on good terms? Is he friendly with financial casualty and surety?
Don't speculate.
From
I
your
have no idea
understanding?
what his reason for leaving was. He had another position.
Was he unhappy when he left?
I don't know.
Did you know him very well?
Not real well, no. We did not socialize.
Do people socialize in your company?
Some do.
So, I mean, when we were talking about Robert Sabo, it didn't sound like you and he were friends.
We went out occasionally. We belonged to the same theater and would go to the theater in groups, but we pretty much arose, you know, with our spouses and left with our spouses. We didn't, and watched the theater, and that was it.
I see. Because you came from, was it Ranger?
Yes.
You came over with Mr. Sabo from Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
He was your supervisor at Ranger,
Correct.
and you worked together with Mr. Sabo for how many years at Ranger?
5.
And then you came here to Financial Casualty and Surety and worked with him how many years?
About 18.
So you worked with him 23 years.
Strictly professional.
And then he leaves and you don't speak to him ever again.
Well, not unless I saw him. I'm not much of a phone caller.
Okay.
I mean, unless I have something to say, I don't call you.
Do you know his birthday?
November 30th.
Did you send him a birthday email?
I didn't this last year, no.
Was it your habit before to send him a birthday email?
I usually saw him and just said happy birthday.
But you do know his birthday, November 30th.
I do.
Does he know yours?
Probably not.
Maybe that's why you don't you don't talk to him. Right.
I don't think that was a requirement.
Okay. That would explain a lot. Okay, so I want to show you Exhibit 60. Do you recognize Exhibit 60?
Yes.
This is one of the affidavits that you executed, correct?
Yes.
Is this a true and correct copy of what you executed?
As far as I know.
Okay. Do you use the same, do you use a template for your custodian of records declarations?
I didn't create this. I just gave the information to whatever attorney prepared it, and they created it and I signed it.
Do you know who was preparing it?
Not off the top of my head.
Shelley Matheson. Do you know Shelley Matheson?
Yes.
Who is Shelley Matheson?
She's a legal assistant that works for Financial Casualty and Surety.
In 2017, who is she working for? Who is she assistant to?
I think she was still assistant to Mandy Krasny, Mandy Carey, and Sia Bays was the other attorney, associate attorney, counsel.
So the associate attorneys, or the attorneys at Financial Casualty and Surety, they prepare these affidavits and present them for you to sign.
Right,
And you read them very, very carefully, right?
right,
Because you want them to be accurate.
correct.
Let's talk about 60 here a little bit. What is Exhibit 1 to 60? It's on page 6. Starts on page 6.
I was looking at the exhibits that they've got back here. You said, what is exhibit 1 through 60, right?
No, Exhibit 60, page 6. There it says, on that page 6 of Exhibit 60, it says Exhibit 1 at the bottom.
Okay. This is a retail producer bond agreement.
That's a form agreement, yes?
Yes,
And that's given to each of the retail producers, correct?
correct.
That's not something that they can really negotiate about, correct? It's a take it or leave it type of agreement, form agreement that the retail producers, the bail agents sign if they want to. They want to be a retail producer for.
Well, I think some of it is negotiable, not all of it, of course.
What portions are negotiable?
I would say the premium, the above, underwriting. There may be some other places that they might negotiate.
Okay. The retail producer agreement's not filed with the insurance regulatory agencies, correct?
As what?
Well, a lot of the documents that are used are filed with the California Department of Insurance.
The documents that are filed with the California Department of Insurance are consumer-related documents. I guess because the agent is appointed with financial that this doesn't have to be. If the agency isn't licensed, it is filed with the license application.
If the agency isn't licensed,
Yes.
what do you mean by that?
It's a new agency.
So,
The department, along with that license application, they do require a copy of the producer agreement.
so is that in California or all states?
California. And that's only if the agency's not already licensed.
So their first time, they have to get licensed, they have to have a deal already set up.
Mm-hmm.
So yes?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Do you know if this retail producer agreement, retail producer bail bond agreement has ever been filed with any
No, I do not.
agent in the state of California?
No.
As far as you know, the state of California, the Department of the Insurance Commissioner with the state of California has never seen this. Is that fair?
I'm telling you, I don't know.
Okay.
Not yes or no. I do not know.
Okay. But as far as you know, well, you can't say one way or the other whether they've seen it.
Right.
Same question for the general agency agreement. You remember the general agency agreement?
Yes.
Is that filed with the state of California?
Not that I'm aware of.
Is the general agency agreement available on your website?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't think so.
Is the general agency agreement anywhere that somebody from the public would have access to your understanding?
I don't know.
Does financial casualty and surety consider the general agency agreement a private?
Yes.
It's a private
think-
agreement,
Yes.
and they actually take some effort to keep it private?
Yes.
Why is that?
Competition? I mean, I'm not real sure, but I think it has to do with competition.
You don't want the competitors seeing what's
Correct.
saying.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Thank you. All right, the next exhibit here on your affidavit is found on page 26 of Exhibit 60. What is this?
This is a listing of all sales reports.
What's a sales report?
Is when the bail agent reports back to the surety the sales in which he's made. With premium.
And it has the, so that's the amount of premium that they're paying?
It's the calculated amount that they owe and that they paid.
So with respect to the example here on Exhibit 60, what I looked at, it looked like the premium was approximately 1%. Is that consistent with your recollection?
I don't recall.
Okay, so if we go on to the next, Exhibit 3, which is found on page 30, what is that?
This is a report of the calculated liability. In other words, we enter the bond information from the pink copy of the bond. And of course, they add up to be this much liability, calculate the buff on that liability and the underpayment.
Okay, and the buff is short for build-up fund?
Yes,
And that's a reserve account that you collect in order to assure that those fugitives or those defendants actually show up for court.
it's a collateral account for the agent in case he can't pay if the fugitives don't show up for court.
I see.
Sometimes it takes longer to get payment.
Okay. And Exhibit 4, and that's found on page 31 of Exhibit 60. What's that?
It's forfeitures the surety paid on behalf of the bail agent.
And it starts out on the far right column. Remitted or payment method says BUF, the very top entry, and then It says agent wire. What does that mean?
I mean, the agent wired the money to financial casualty and surety to
Okay.
reimburse them for that payment.
Okay, and then there's it says agent.
Agent paid it.
And then looks like 7 lines down, county. What happened there?
The county reimbursed, overcharged, so they returned payment.
Is this a ledger of the Buff account?
No, sir. It's a ledger of the forfeitures paid.
By financial casualty and surety.
Correct.
The next page, 32, is a continuation of the first page. Exhibit 4, Exhibit 31.
Yes.
Page 30 of 99 of 32 of 99 of Exhibit 60. There's a total there. It says totals paid. Looks like $897,941.64 was paid by financial casualty and surety.
Yes.
And remissions collected were $483,490.81.
Correct.
So that would be coming out of the Buff account, or what the agent tendered.
Yes.
So the balance due was $414,450.83. That was the amount that FCS was in the hole.
Correct.
So did they ever get paid?
I don't recall.
You don't know what the outcome of this case was?
No, I do not.
Page 34, which is Exhibit 5 of Exhibit 60, those are the open forfeiture reports, right? For this-
Correct.
We looked at a bunch of those at our last deposition session. Do you remember that?
No.
They were in a similar, they were in a different format, but sounds like every week or so, the DMCG will send an open forfeiture report, correct? Or maybe FCS sends the open forfeiture report, and DMCG is expected to give an explanation about what's going on. Is that correct?
Correct.
Looks like this one just goes on and on. They had a lot of open forfeitures, right?
Correct.
Okay, if we go to page 81 of 99 of Exhibit 60, there's a Exhibit 7. Up on the upper right-hand corner, it says open unreported powers liability. You see that?
Yes.
So this is just, those are the powers that are in the custody of the then agent, right?
Yes.
And those weren't recovered.
Correct.
So those were just out there floating around somewhere. Somebody had them, or they'd been destroyed.
Correct.
So what happens if a power is destroyed? Do you assume it's open?
We do until we do, yes.
So how do you get convinced that it's been destroyed? Do the agents ever say, hey, I destroyed those, I burned them up?
Yes, and they sign an affidavit stating that if anything happens, that they'll be responsible for it.
I see. So, I mean, Houston had a lot of flooding here, right?
Mhm.
Did any of the bail agents get flooded out?
I don't think we wrote off too many bonds that way that were flooded.
And, you know, in the past, there's been these hurricanes, you know, Hurricane Ivan, Hurricane Irene. They're in these Gulf low-lying areas.
Correct.
Have there been losses of powers that way?
Yes.
So the agents will go sign an affidavit saying these things are gone,
Right.
and we'll answer for them if they show up.
Correct.
Okay, and then it looks like the last exhibit, maybe I'm wrong about that, but the last exhibit to your affidavit is found at page 90 of Exhibit 60. It's Exhibit 8. And it has open unreported powers, premium, and buff on the upper right-hand corner, right?
Yes.
It appears that the premium is 0.9%.
Okay.
Well, is that, am I understanding this right?
It probably is. I don't know. I mean, I'm not very good at looking at numbers and telling what the premium is, but that looks like it's right.
So 1% on a $10,000 bond would be $100, right?
Correct.
On a $1,000 bond, it would be $10. And on a $100 bond, it would be $1, right? It's arithmetic.
No, because there's usually a minimum bond amount per the contract.
I see. And then the buff is 1% of the bond.
Depending on the contract.
Is that the typical amount of the buff that FCS expects? 1%?
It's a negotiated amount between FCS and the agent.
So let's take a hypothetical here. Let's say that Scott McMillan decides that he doesn't want to do law anymore, but he wants to go be a bail bondsman. Or maybe Tim Watson wants to join Scott McMillan in the bail bond business.
Gonna hire Delia. We're gonna be Watson and Watson.
Okay.
Good choice.
What would be the, for somebody starting out, what would be the buff amount?
Someone starting out in a new business, it could be as much as 1.5%,
Okay.
depending on what kind of contract collateral they have, that sort of thing.
Okay. And let's say that after 10 years, Watson and Watson, they've been extraordinarily successful, superbly conscientious, always responsive. And they've got just a huge amount of money in their buff account. Would they be eligible to come back and say to FCS, hey, cut us a break, FCS, we've got...
It's always negotiable.
So it would go down from 1.5%
Yes.
to...
In fact, they sometimes make that arrangement ahead of time.
Is the bond premium also negotiable?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
With respect to FCS, now I understand FCS has some sort of association with, if not just landlord-tenant or getting staff from Myron Steves, is unpaid bonds something that can be reinsured?
I have no idea.
So, for instance, FCS says, we have this much liability out there, and we want to buy some more insurance in case there's some widespread prison uprising where nobody decides that they're going to go and report on their to their court appearances. And it's just so much liability for FCS that we want to have coverage, insurance coverage, against that occurring. Is that something that is done in the surety industry?
Not to my knowledge.
So there is no insurance for this insurance company.
Again, I have no idea, not to my knowledge.
Not to your knowledge, okay. I want to show you Exhibit 50. Have you ever seen Exhibit 50 before?
Not that I recall.
You see that there's an email reference from Robert Sabo to Kathleen Ledbetter, correct?
Yes.
And there's a form attached, BUF withdrawal request.
Yes.
Now, what it appears is that FCS is giving away some of its collateral there. Is that a correct description of this?
Well, the agents own the buff. We just control it.
But under the contract, the buff is your collateral, right?
Right.
In the event that Genevieve Stewart or Jeffrey Leo Stoff, somebody goes and acts like them, financial casualty and surety needs that buff to cover all that outstanding liability, right?
Right.
So
That doesn't mean that you can't give it to a viable agent who needs occasional help on paying something.
well, the very fact that they need money out of their buff, doesn't that give you concern?
Well, it's not for me to be concerned about it.
Who's it to be concerned about?
Their managing agent, Bob Sabo. And evidently they talked to him enough that he approved it.
I mean, DMCG is a pretty big customer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes,
Yes, I'm sorry.
they're writing a lot of bonds, right?
Yes.
They're writing like $1 billion a year in bonds. Is that fair?
I don't know the exact amount.
But it's somewhere up there, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And they're collecting the premium of 10%, right? From the from the
It varies.
defendants or the indemnitors, from the customers, correct?
It varies.
Because that's what FCS filed that rate with the,
But you also have the Proposition 103 rebates.
what is Proposition 103 rebates?
It's where you can discount the bonds. Discount insurance, not necessarily just bonds.
Okay.
So they don't always charge, they charge the 10%, but they give a discount or rebate.
All right. So what kind of rebates do you understand that they give? 1%?
I don't know.
So let's say it's 2%. Even if it's 8% at the premium, 8% of premium, they're collecting something like $80 million a year, right?
Right?
So doesn't this give FCS concern that they can't pay a $100,000 bond?
Again, I can't speak for Mr. Sabo, but he's the one that approved it.
Do buff requests put financial casualty and surety in a position of insecurity as to the financial solvency of its agents?
I don't have a response. I don't know.
Well, you've been in this business, this bail bond business, for 23 years, right?
Right?
And you've seen bail agents come and go, right?
Correct?
One of the signs that they're having trouble is requests to raid their buff account. Is that fair?
Not necessarily.
Is it a sign of trouble?
Not necessarily.
The agents consider the buff account, some agents consider the buff account their retirement, correct?
Correct?
You've heard that before.
Yes.
So when they cash out, they get all the money in their buff account after they've accounted for all the powers, true?
True.
All of the outstanding liability,
Correct?
and all of the open forfeitures have been closed.
Correct?
All judgments have been satisfied.
Correct?
They can then close down their business, or have somebody else take over the name under a different producer agreement or a different agency agreement. Correct?
Correct?
It's a good time. Can we take a few minutes?
Sure.
The time
Yeah.
is 3:28 PM. We're off the record.